In the heart of Lancashire lies a tale as dark as it is chilling. A beautiful girl, an evil stepmother, and an unthinkable betrayal. What happened to Ellen of Radcliffe, and how did her father uncover the gruesome truth of her fate? This is a story of jealousy and vengeance so tragic it will linger in your mind long after you've heard it. Radcliffe Tower used to be a powerful and impressive place, but now it's just a weathered ruin with so much history hidden in its crumbling walls. When I visited, it was a misty morning, and the mist made the ruins feel almost otherworldly, like the past was blending in with the present. Walking around, it was so quiet and peaceful. You could almost feel the lives and the stories of the people who were here before. They were just lingering in the air. And then next door, in the ancient church, there was a lovely warden when I was walking around, and she invited me to come in and have a look inside the church. And this church is truly a special place. It's got these most beautiful stained glass windows that I've ever seen, and they've got carved stone heads on the wall and ancient brickwork, and there's just this feeling of calm and stillness inside. And up on the wall, they've got a list of all the ministers that have served in the church all the way back to the 1200s. But this place holds more than just beauty. It holds a story, one that clings to the land like a shadow. And it's the story of Fair Ellen of Radcliffe, a woman whose beauty captured hearts, but whose fate was marked by betrayal and heartbreak and bloodshed. What happened within the walls of Radcliffe Tower? What led to Ellen's downfall? And why does her tale still haunt the ruins and the churchyard to this day? So let's step back in time to a world of love, jealousy and vengeance, and unspeakable sorrow to uncover the tragedy of Fair Ellen of Radcliffe. Ellen was born into a life of privilege, the beloved daughter of Lord Thomas, but her mother's joy was short-lived. She died when she was giving birth to Ellen, leaving the Lord heartbroken, yet determined to raise his daughter with all the love he could muster. Ellen grew into a beautiful young woman, cherished by her father and admired by everyone who knew her. But happiness in Radcliffe Tower was not meant to last. Lord Thomas eventually remarried, seeking companionship and a motherly figure for Ellen, yet his new wife was far from kind. She was a woman consumed by envy, unable to bear the love and attention the Lord lavished upon his daughter. The stepmother's jealousy festered, growing darker with each passing day. One fateful afternoon, Lord Thomas left Radcliffe Hall to go hunting, leaving Ellen alone, watching the chase from a vantage point with her stepmother. It was the chance the jealous woman had been waiting for. She asked Ellen to return to the tower and ask the master cook to start to prepare the evening meal, telling Ellen to give the cook a specific message. He was to kill the white doe from the park and bake it into a pie. The cook, a man of cruel disposition, was expecting Ellen, and when she innocently passed on the message, the cook knew the sinister secret meaning and immediately picked up the sharpest knife that he had and started towards Ellen. The young scullery boy was in the kitchen at the time, and he was really fond of Ellen and saw what was about to happen, and he pleaded with the cook for Ellen's life, even offering his own life instead. But his pleas fell on deaf ears. The stepmother's orders were absolute. Ellen's life was brutally taken, and the cook, under the stepmother's direction, committed an act so ghastly it would haunt the tower for generations to come. The cook dismembered Ellen's body and then baked her remains into a pie. When Lord Thomas returned from his hunt, the stepmother presented the pie to him and his friends, urging them to sit down and eat and enjoy the meal. But the Lord asked for Ellen, as she always ate with them after the hunt. The stepmother told him that Ellen had decided to leave the hall for good and that she went off to become a nun. Urging her husband to forget about Ellen now, she's gone away to the nunnery and just to sit down and eat his food. The Lord was deeply distressed by this news, and standing, he vowed in front of his friends that he would never ever eat again until Ellen was back home where she belonged. Just as he spoke, the scullery boy burst into the hall and pointed at the pie with tears streaming down his face, and he revealed the horrifying truth that the body of beautiful Ellen had been chopped up and minced into the pie sitting in the middle of the table. While the Lord's guests looked on in horror, the Lord was overcome with grief and rage and immediately passed judgment on his wife and her accomplice. His wife was no more. She was to be burnt at the stake for her evil, wicked deeds, and the evil master chef was to be boiled alive in lead as his punishment. It is said that Sir Robert never recovered from the loss of Ellen, his beloved daughter, and gave away everything he owned to the scullery boy. The tower eventually fell into decline, its walls just bearing the weight of the sorrow and the horror that happened there. According to local law, Radcliffe Church became a place for pilgrimages for miles around, people wanting to find the grave of Ellen and her father, and apparently the grave that was there at the time became mutilated because people kept taking pieces of stone as amulets for the prevention of illnesses and disorders. And some people also say there's a black dog haunting Radcliffe Tower, and it is believed to be the restless spirit of the cook that was involved in the gruesome murder. This canine is typically talked about as large, black and menacing, sometimes with red glowing eyes peering out of the darkness at you. Lancashire folklore often refers back to black dog sightings, saying that if you are perhaps unlucky enough to come across one, they're considered really bad omens of death or misfortune. After hearing such a haunting tale, it's natural to wonder, did the tragedy of Fair Ellen truly happen? Or is it simply a story that's been spun over the years to entertain and terrify people? Historians and folklorists have debated this question for quite a number of years, and the answer still really remains shrouded in mystery. Some suggest that the story and the song that was made about Ellen may have been the work of just a talented minstrel from the Tower who created a story to captivate his audience with shocking twists and gothic drama. And the idea of a jealous stepmother and a gruesome pie is also a reoccurring theme in folklore. It echoes tales like Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus and even the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. Could this story have been inspired by a wider tradition of dark, cautionary tales? But then there's others who believe that the story may be rooted in fragments of real history. Radcliffe Hall was indeed a significant estate, passing through many, many noble hands. The Radcliffe family was prominent in the area, and like all powerful families, their lives were often romanticised or scandalised in the popular culture of the people that lived around the actual tower. And it's possible that the tale was exaggerated or altered over time, growing darker and darker with each time somebody retold the story. Another theory is that the story may reflect the social anxieties of the time. So the 14th and 15th centuries were times of great change, especially with the roles of women, and the dynamic of power and fears of betrayal often come into feature in folklore of that time very strongly. Stories like Ellen might have served as cautionary tales about the dangers of unchecked jealousy, or even warnings about the fragility of family bonds. especially in a time when second marriages were becoming more popular and blended households were becoming more common. And then finally, some suggest that the gruesome elements of murder, betrayal, and even the infamous pie might have been later additions to the story, just thrown in for some added dramatic effect. So what you've got is something that started as a simple tale of family tension. It could have evolved into this gothic horror story that we have today. And whether Fair Ellen of Radcliffe ever really walked the halls of Radcliffe Tower, or whether her story is purely a work of imagination, one thing is certain: the power of the tale endures. It is a story that continues to fascinate and horrify us at the same time, reminding us of the darker sides of human nature and the lengths to which jealousy and betrayal can drive us. Thank you for joining me for the story of Fair Ellen of Radcliffe. If you've enjoyed uncovering the secrets of Radcliffe Tower, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with others who really love a good forgotten story. And as always, let me know in the comments, what do you think of the story? Does Ellen's story still haunt these ruins, or is it we who carry her tale forward? So until next time, stay curious and perhaps a little cautious.